Welcome, weary travelers. Please make yourselves at home. I, Homer, shall tell you a tale as you rest your tired bones for a while. Long ago, in a land where rugged cliffs meet glassy seas, there lived a unique people. These ancient people called themselves the Hellenes, but you probably know them better by their Roman name, the Greci, or your tongue, the Greeks. The Greeks valued wisdom and beauty. They excelled in art, literature, architecture, and athletics, and they built their kingdoms to reflect these values. Now please allow my fellow poet Hesiod to continue the tale.
The Greeks surrounded themselves in many neighbors, worshipped hideous gods of wood and stone, fearful gods who hinged on human sacrifice. The Greeks prided themselves in being unlike their foolish neighbors. Instead of roughly carved, cruel, and barbaric gods, they fashioned their gods in the image of man with all their virtues and vices. The great playwright Sophocles will tell you more.
The gods resembled mankind in both looks and manners, yet keeping in mind their love for beauty, the Greeks imagined beings who are mightier, more radiant, and wiser than their mortals. The Greeks insisted that despite their vices, these gods were perfect and without fault. And they were perfect reflections of our own nature. The tales of these gods celebrated our strengths and revealed our weaknesses. Euripides, my fellow playwright, will bear on his rock.
The Greeks imagined a glorious kingdom for their gods upon the tallest peak in their land. High atop Mount Olympus, the gods lived in a golden temple built by their mortal uncles, the Cyclopses. Within this splendid temple were 12 golden thrones, one for each of the most important gods. Unfortunately, mere mortals could never endure gazing upon the gods in all their radiance. And this grand pantheon could never be seen by mortal eyes, since the summit of Mount Olympus was always covered in fluffy white clouds. And so we will need someone greater than men to continue this story. I will call upon the Muses to help.
We have spoken to the gods and have good news to share. Dear mortals, just for today, the gods have seen fit to tone down their radiance and roll back the clouds so that you may behold them in their Olympian banquet hall. They have allowed for my siblings and I to guide you back to the time of ancient Greeks, back to their rugged cliffs and glassy seas, back to their tales of beauty and wisdom. Please indulge us in some brief introductions. Muse of Epics. Fortes Fortuna Iubat. Since fortunates the brave, I moved writers into creating exciting stories of heroism and bravery to inspire courage.
Cleo, Muse of History. Tempest fugit, time flies, so I help mankind to keep a record of important events so that they would remember great accomplishments and learn from past mistakes. Urania, Muse of Astronomy. Life in ancient Greece could be hard, but ad astra per astra. To the stars of difficulty, I inspire people to look up to the stars and be encouraged.
Utopia, Muse of Music. Musica Laphitica Go. Music gladdens the heart. Therefore, I inspire the Greeks to compose beautiful music.
Terpsichore, Muse of Dance. I brought joy to mankind through dance. Nunc pede libero pulsanda tellus, now is the time to dance. Irado, Muse of Phalanx.
Amina Vencia Amor, love conquers all. Therefore, I inspired the Greeks to write love songs and poetry. Roses are red, violets are blue. There's no other audience as sweet as you.
Polyhymnia, Muse of Hymn. I enabled mankind to write songs of praise to the gods. For qui bene cantat quis orat. He who sings well praises twice.
Melpomene, muse of tragedy. See Clarkame Rerum, their tears for things. I am the master of the tragic and depressing, some of the saddest tales ever told to have been my creation. After all, who doesn't love a good cry?
Resume tenacious amici. Can you help laughing, friends? Thalia, musicami. Like many of you, I prefer stories with happy endings, so I lighten my sister's drama by inspiring joyful tales.
Let us begin with the history lesson before we enter Mount Olympus. It all started with my grandmother, Gaia. You see, for a long time she was all that existed, and since nothing and no one lived on her, she was lonely and downcast. But one day she happened to lift up her eyes and see my grandfather, Uranus, the sky. He wore a crown which was speckled with bright shining stars and caught Gaia's eyes quite easily. It was not long before Gaia and Uranus were married, both overjoyed to finally have some company. Uranus quickly became known as the mighty lord of the universe. He was respected and feared by all. Soon after their marriage, Gaia became Mother Earth, bountiful and full of life. All living things arose from her. The couple's first set of children was a set of 12 glorious gods and goddesses, the Titans. My own mother, Namasane, goddess of memory, was one of them. These gods were strong and mighty like their father, and beautiful like their mother. Uranus was very proud of them. Their second set of children was less beautiful to behold, but equally strong and talented. They were the three Cyclops, skilled metalsmiths with one shining eye in the center of each of their foreheads. Uranus found them rather disgusting and did not take as much pride in them.
How hideous these children are! They are nothing like the Titans.
The third set of children was quite a sight. These three children each had 50 heads and 100 arms. Uranus was even more disgusted with them.
Dear wife, these are the worst ones yet. How can I allow such ugly creatures to spoil your beauty?
Cruelly, Uranus seized the Cyclops and the 50-headed children and threw them into Tartarus, the darkest of all pits.
Deep under the earth!
Gaia was not pleased with this at all. She loved all her children and wished for them to be free. So after some thought, she fastened a sickle and went to the Titans to ask them for their help in defeating Uranus and rescuing her children. But only Cronus, the youngest Titan, was brave enough to volunteer.
Although I am young, I am strong. I will free my brothers using the sickle that my mother has gave me.
Young Cronus was now the new lord of the universe. Perhaps he will learn from the mistakes of his father and show more kindness to us, his offspring. Let's continue and see.
Cronus did not fear siblings as he had promised his mother. As a result, Gaia was very angry with him. Instead, Cronus married the Titaness Rhea and took pride in his power over the world. During his reign, mankind enjoyed a peaceful golden age, living a prosperous life, safe from the theft and violence. It was a glorious age on earth. However, it soon became clear that Cronus had learned nothing from his father's mistakes. Wanting to prevent his children from overthrowing him, like he had done to his father, Cronus swallowed each of them as soon as they were born.
I cannot tell you how much this grieves me. My sisters have their children close by, but my children are torn away from me. Is there no one who can help me? This is just the opportunity I was waiting for. Finally, a chance to save my grandchildren from their cruel father and have revenge on my son for leading his brothers in Tartarus. Dear child, mother will help. Come over and let me whisper plainly to you. What a wonderful plan! Instead of my newborn son Zeus, I will give Coronis a rock.
Rhea hid Zeus on the island of Crete where he was able to grow up safely. Coronis never knew he was there. Like his father before him, Zeus, the youngest of his siblings, soon grew to be the mightiest of the gods.
Now that I am grown, it is time for me to avenge my brothers and sisters. I will use this thunderbolt to defeat Cronus and rescue my siblings so they can share my power.
Zeus won a great victory over Cronus and became the next lord of the universe. He set the Cyclops free, sent the Titans to Tartarus and a few other spots, and he asked the 50-headed children to stand guard at the gates of Tartarus. Mother Earth was not pleased with this outcome. Once again, some of her children were trapped in Tartarus. She tried a few times to overthrow Zeus, but never quite succeeded. It seems the fates wanted him in charge. Zeus ruled very differently than his father and grandfather. He was glad to share his power with several of his children. He even requested a golden throne to be built for each of them. So now, please, make yourselves at home as we enter into the banquet hall of Mount Olympus. Here you will witness Hermes announcing the arrival of the gods, beginning with Zeus's siblings.
Her Majesty Hera, the Queen of Olympus. I'm Hera, the beautiful Queen of Olympus, and I'm very jealous. Zeus fears nothing except my fits of temper. I detest all of Zeus' other wives, especially the mortal ones. Whenever I see that Zeus has another wife, I find a way to make her life miserable. One of my favorite torments is to send a swarm of gadflies after my enemies. Hestia, the humble eldest sister of Zeus and the goddess of the hearth. I tend the sacred fire here in Mount Olympus. Every hearth on the earth is an altar to me. Unlike my sister Hera, I prefer gentleness and kindness. Demeter, goddess of the harvest, and her lovely daughter Persephone. I cause all plants and crops to grow, providing beauty and food for the people of Earth. My daughter Persephone is my constant companion. I love her dearly, and I cannot bear to have her out of my sight. But one day, while I was visiting her, she was playing in a meadow. She wandered away from me. I did not know where my daughter had gone. I searched far and wide, but I could not find my daughter, my precious daughter. But with the help of a swineherd, I soon discovered that she had been stolen by Hades. Hades, my gloomy uncle.
I am the Lord of the dead, and I stole Persephone. I am a god of few words.
Zeus tried to persuade Hades to let Persephone return to her mother. However, because she had eaten some pomegranate seeds, she was required to spend 3 months of each year in the underworld. Each year while Persephone was in the underworld, Demeter would grieve, and nothing would grow on earth. Kind Demeter taught mankind to harvest crops and store food so that people would not go hungry in the winter. Then, when Persephone returned to her mother, Demeter's joy would cause the whole earth to bloom, and mankind would rejoice at the return of spring.
Phew, I'm glad that worked out. I get nervous about that.
Hades took me to the underworld, and there I learned that mortals fear so much they won't even say his name, lest they catch his attention. Instead, they call him the rich one. His realm contains all the precious things of the earth, like gold, silver, and gemstones. They also call him the hospitable one, because he always has plenty of room for all those under his gates. After he stole me, I became his wife and queen of the underworld, though I did not instead.
Phew, I'm glad that worked out. I get nervous about that every year. And now here's my uncle Poseidon, Lord of the Sea. Like the sea, I can be moody and unpredictable. People call me the Earth Shaker because when I hit my trident upon the ground, the earth shakes and cracks. But when I strike the sea, huge waves rise up, destroying everything in their path. But when I am calm, the sea is still. You won't often find me at home being the creator of horses. I'd much rather race the waves with my swift steeds.
Now that all my siblings are seated, I'd like you to meet my Olympian children. Hermes, who we have first.
My dear brother, the hardworking and peaceful Hephaestus, son of Zeus and Hera. I am the god of smith and fire, and I love my mother very much. You may have noticed my limb. I haven't always walked this way. You see, one day when my parents were arguing, I took Hera aside. That made Zeus so angry that he grabbed me by the legs and hurled me all the way down to the island of Lemnos. Ever since, I've walked unsteadily, as you now see. Despite my weak legs, I am a skilled metalsmith. In fact, I made these 12 golden thrones. What do you think of my handiwork? Amazing! Thank you kindly. Introducing the wife of Hephaestus, Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty.
I am not actually a child of Zeus. I have neither mother nor a father. One day, I mysteriously rose out of the sea on a cushion of foam. The west wind spotted me and blew me to the island of Cythera. There, 3 graces greeted me and dressed me in fine garments. Then they sent me in a golden chariot to Mount Olympus. Zeus was worried that since I was so beautiful, that the gods would fight to marry me. So he chose my husband Hephaestus for me. To be honest, I'd rather marry tall and handsome Aries.
Well, look who it is. Aries, my tall and handsome brother. I am Aries, god of war, and I am great. Some people think I am cruel because I love fighting for fighting's sake. I don't care which side I'm on as long as there is much bloodshed. I have killed many with this sword. Ouch! Stop your wailing and be seated. Athena, the wisest of us all, the daughter of Zeus and the prudent Venus.
That is my brother, but none of us are very fond of him. He is so cruel and bloodthirsty, not to mention arrogant. I am the goddess of wisdom and my father's favorite child. Hi, Daddy. We have a very special bond. You see, I was born fully grown right out of my father's head. That's because he swallowed my mother, so he'd never be without her wise counsel. This shield has helped me in many battles, but unlike my brother Aries, I only fight for just causes. Perhaps you have heard of the city of Athens. I won that city in a contest against my uncle Poseidon. He gave the city a useless, salty spring. I gave them an olive tree with its many practical uses. Naturally, the people like my gift better. So now I watch over the city and shower them with skills in arts and crafts.
The Radiant Twins, Apollo and Artemis, children of Zeus and Leto. my twin sister Artemis.
I am goddess of the hunt and of all newborn creatures.
My father gave each of us these bows along with set arrows. My arrows are sharp and strong like the rays of the sun.
My arrows are as gentle as moonlight, and they give no pain to whomever they hit. I love the freedom of hunting in the woods so much that I asked my father if I could remain unmarried. He kindly consisted, so I remained a free young huntress forever. My brother and I have always been great friends, but things changed when I became friends with a talented hunter named Orion. Since we shared the same hobby, Orion and I spent most of our time together, and Apollo was just plain jealous. Although Apollo sent a scorpion that killed Orion, I soon forgave him. Together we fashioned Orion's image into the brightest constellation of the winter sky. That way my dear friend will never be forgotten.
Being a god of music, I train in music to beautiful melodies to learn. I use my lyre to help me tune their voices. I traded my entire herd of sacred white cows for this lyre, but I'll let my brother Hermes tell you that story.
Ooh, my turn! Hermes, son of Zeus and Maya, at your service. I remember that day well. It was the day I decided to be an Olympian god. I lived in a cave, but being Zeus' son, I thought that I deserved to live on Mount Olympus. So one day, just after I was born, I stole 50 of Apollo's sacred white cows in a very clever way. Then I hid them, sacrificed 2 of them to the gods, and used their entrails to make strings for the very first lyre. When Apollo came looking for me, I pretended to look innocent. Oddly, he didn't believe me, so he chased me up to Mount Olympus, where Zeus encouraged me to make amends. I offered Apollo my lyre in exchange for all of his white cows and his magic wand. Pretty good bargain, wouldn't you agree? Zeus was so proud of me that he made me one of the 12 Olympian gods. My plan had worked.
So you see, Hermes' ability to talk himself out of trouble and his quick thinking make him the perfect god of merchants, travelers, thieves, and all those who live by their wits. His cleverness made him well qualified for a few other jobs as well. For the gods, he acted as their herald, always knowing just the right words to say. For mankind, he graciously taught them to use words of persuasion to talk themselves out of trouble. He was great at helping merchants to close good deals and at teaching politicians to speak convincingly. A faithful guide, he kindly led travelers to the best roads and led the dead to their final home in the underworld. Now all the thrones are full.
But wait, Dad has one more son, Dionysus, the jolly god of wine.
Are you kidding me? His mother was immortal. He can't join us.
Besides, there are no more thrones.
He may have my throne. I'd rather be closer to the hearth.
But
Enough, Hera. Come join us.
Thank you, Father and gracious Hestia. Hera is right. My mother was mortal and died before I was born. But my good-thinking father sewed me under the skin of his own leg until it was time for my birth. I was raised by nymphs in the valley of Nysa, where I learned to make wine from the grapes that flourished there. I taught my skill to mankind and brought them much joy. That is, when my father decided it was time for me to come to Mount Olympus, and now I love to share this bounteous feast with you. Ganymede, are the nectar and the groves ready?
Yes, ready. Waiting for your watch. Shall we begin with the nectar?
yes.
Tales which show up our